Are we the only ones?
Yeah, that's a toughie. I go back and forth on this one, that's for sure. I think that, you look at the universe and you say, okay, we got 2 trillion galaxies. That's our latest estimate. 2 trillion galaxies. Each galaxy has a couple 100 billion stars in it. How many of those stars have planets around them? Seems to be a lot more than we thought. How many of those planets would be Earth-like? How many planets like that would have water in liquid form? And that'd be a lot of planets. It'd be a lot of planets in the universe that could be Earth-like. So
Trillions.
Probably in the order of at least millions of Earth-like planets are out there.
But
so
trillions in general of planets, but
yeah. Trillions of planets in general. And
millions of Earth-like planets that would be habitable.
Yeah, well, maybe. So that's the idea, is that, and one of the biggest advances in astronomy is finding planets around other stars, called exoplanets. And they have found more exoplanets than even the most optimistic person could have ever thought they'd find. It's like 1 in every 5 stars in our galaxy has a planet. So with 300 billion stars, that's a whole lot of planets in our galaxy. So we don't know about other galaxies, but it could be assumed it's very similar. So just by that sheer number, you would say, all right, is Earth 1 in a trillion? If so, then yeah, there's other life forms. But the more I look at our situation on Earth, are we 1 in a trillion, or are we 1? Like, there's a lot of stuff that went down before we got here. Like, a lot of weird stuff. The formation of our moon is really weird. That we were a molten planet, some big object size of Mars runs into Earth with such force that it breaks off a piece of the Earth. That swirls around the Earth for a while, forms into the moon. That's weird. Like, we don't know of any other place that happened. Pluto is a possible place where that could have happened, but we're not sure. If that never happened, would we not be here? Like, the Earth wasn't destroyed, but it was damaged and messed up. That was just that idea. The idea of where did life come from originally? Was it seeded here? Was it through chemical things? How did it even get started?
Were we brought from somewhere else?
Were we brought from other aliens? Who knows? I mean, I'm not going to totally discount that as a theory, but the idea that like, if people ask me about like space and like, does the vastness of space bother me and disturb me and depress me and how big everything is I guess a little bit, but not that much. It's time that messes with me. Like, thinking about how much time came forward before this and all the things that led up to us now and all the weird things that happened in the past before we were even born. And I just I can't do time travel movies, because like, if we changed one thing in the past, who knows what would have happened to us. So then I go back to like, maybe we are the only one. Maybe this is a weird situation we got set up on. But then I talk to guys in and women in astrobiology that like get into this idea of like, how life forms in the solar system, how life forms places, how maybe life formed on Earth. And if I asked them that question, almost universally, astrobiologists would say, oh, absolutely, there's other places. Like, we are not unique. I mean, we had some weird stuff happen, but we're going to find life out there, no doubt. So I don't know. All I know is that I've never had a legitimate UFO report come across my desk.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything. And what life would look like in other places, I don't know. I'm hopeful, but it's more of a gut reaction than a scientific thing.
What do you think? So when they receive signals from somewhere, I just read, what do you think that is?
Yeah, the signals thing is, there's this isn't a field that I'm as familiar with, but it depends on which wavelength they're like studying. But you get this this noise. There's always this kind of background noise, and if you get the stuff that kind of like cuts through that, that's what you kind of are listening for. But every one of them has been nothing that's repeated or anything like that, and in a good enough way to like say, okay, this is like a civilization sending us a signal. There's some doubts whether our signals even go out very far. So the old theory was like all the radio that we made is out in space. TV broadcasts are out in space. And so if there's aliens on other planets, they could tune in our old TV shows and watch, and especially listen to 700 WLW with how much stuff they're pumping out there. Are they still at 50,000 watts, or
There might be more. I don't know, but I think they're still working at the same level.
whatever their peak was? They were like one of the loudest things out in the universe,
Yep.
which is kind of funny. So yeah, we could have all these fans of Jim Scott and Bill Cunningham out there listening.
That's our representation.
I know,
of humans.
exactly. But the latest theory is saying, let's hold up on this. It seems that like radio and other signals could deteriorate faster than we thought. Like maybe they only go out a light year, a couple light years, but if you're really far away, you're not going to be able to
So
tune
it's
in.
like the wavelength shrinks so much it just doesn't even exist.
Yeah, it fades out. So that's why people say, well, why haven't we heard anybody else's radio and TV? And that might be the answer for that. So yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what this is going to look like, but I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to find some life, but
So this vastness idea.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get your take on it. A lot of people, it is too much to think about, but I like thinking about these things. I don't control it. It is what it is. It was here for all these millions or whatever year. What do you call? So we call our galaxy like our galaxy, right? So
Right.
Milky Way, right?
Mhm.
Okay. And how many galaxies do we think there are right now?
latest estimate I heard was 2 trillion,
Okay.
but it's an estimate.
Where's the end?
Yeah, so this is where it gets into some deep stuff, and this is where you get into the theoretical astronomer realm a little bit. So it's not my cup of tea, not my specialty, that's for sure. So I can only repeat kind of what they say.
Yeah, what would you think of all of it? What makes the most sense if there was it's like how can we even wrap our limited human brains around this thing?
Yeah, it's
Because it's something.
Yeah, and so this is a field called cosmology, where they have these kind of big thoughts of the stuff, and so yeah, they just like sit around and be like, "Yeah, man, what do you think about this? What do you think about that?" I'm not exaggerating. This is what they do. They're really fun to hang out with. They're really deep. Might be some pot there. I don't know.
Well, you sounded like a stoner right then, so I'm like, all right, Dean, here we go.
Anybody talks about the universe, they have to be a little out there a little bit. Now, I'm joking about the pot thing, but it's possible. But I've never seen it. But they are pretty cool and fun to hang out with because they do think about this stuff and this cosmic scale. So this is what they say. And so they say, okay, there's 2 possibilities. One, that the universe is finite, that there is an edge to it, that there's a definite edge and it has different size and age and all that kind of stuff, that there's that. Then the other group says it is infinite, meaning it is everything and there is no edge. You go one direction forever, you will never reach the edge, and it's everything. Both are lacking in a lot of ways, because
If it ends in a finite place, what's beyond that?
Exactly. And will we ever know what that is? So we don't know that there is an edge because we can't see an edge, and we definitely can't see past the edge. But how can it be everything? Because what our brain can't comprehend what infinity looks like. So neither answer is very satisfying. So when you see those maps of the universe and that they kind of show it as like this big bubble and we're in the center of it and then there's this definite edge, what the edge is that they're showing on those maps is not space, it's time. So this is where it gets real deep, man. So just get ready, is that when you look in space, you look back in time. So it takes time for light to go from one place to the other. So when we're looking at that edge, the farthest things we can see are 13.5 billion light years away. So that light left those spots 13.5 billion years ago and is only getting to us now. So we can't see past that edge because that was before the universe existed.
It's like a projection light on 13.5 billion years ago.
Yeah.
So it's changed since, whatever it is now.
Yep.
We just saw that.
Yeah, and that thing that we're seeing, like the James Webb Telescope got a
in
picture.
Hawaii, right?
James Webb's the one up in space. Yeah,
Yeah.
So they got this picture of the earliest star, the earliest galaxy. It's 13 billion years old.
Okay.
That is not really there. That's what that galaxy, where it was and what it used to look like 13 billion years ago. It's deep, man. I like thinking about this stuff, but it's like, I don't know. I'd rather look through a telescope and see. So I like to see the real stuff.
That's why.
So that's why I'm not a theoretical astronomer or a cosmologist. I think it's cool. I think it's fascinating, but
it's deep. What do you do with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What do you do with it?
That's a good point. I like to do stuff with stuff.
So what the hell with a black hole?
Yeah. So now that one's interesting one because this is one that the theoretical astronomers are nailing pretty well. Like, so we got some minimal evidence for them, and they took this and were like, "Hey, this is what's happening inside of here. This would explain what you're seeing." And then the more evidence we're finding, it's backing up what they're finding. So this is one of the theoretical success stories. The two pictures. So we have two actual pictures of black holes now, which is brand new. Like 2019 was the first one. Last year, I think, was the second one. The getting of those pictures is unbelievably one of the greatest engineering feats, like in astronomy. And because what they did is they took a couple telescopes on different parts of the world, linked them with this high speed cable, like internet stuff that nobody else could have probably. And they turned a section of the Earth into a whole telescope, basically. It is the craftiest, coolest thing that they could get that picture. And then they have to look through the center of galaxies, through all these stars. So they're looking through stars and then getting these images of black holes. That was the engineering part of it is way better than the actual picture. The picture's like, yeah, it's a black hole. All right, cool. But yeah, the way they got that was really cool. So then where the theoretical part breaks down is what happens inside the black hole.
Because didn't we always think it was a vacuum?
Well, so there's the two ways to think of it this way too is there's lots of theories on black holes, but basically everything breaks down once you're in there because gravity is so intense, not even light can escape. So is it a hole or is it not a hole? It's
it seems like a massive form of gravity or something.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that there's these theories are out there. You fall into a black hole, you go somewhere else. You go to a different dimension. You go to a different universe. You go to a different part of the universe. And that's a wormhole. That's real out there. And
yeah.
I just have a hard time.
You can't get on board with that.
No, because it's an object. It's not a hole. It's an object. And so it's like you take 4 million suns and you jam them pack into one place, and that's what it is. So I mean, why would you go somewhere else? You fall in a black hole, you're on that black hole, and nobody's
the place that planets go to die. What is it?
Yeah. You just fall in there and you're gone. You're never seen again.
What attracts them there to the strum? Is it a gravity pull?
It's all gravity. Yeah.
Do we understand what that calculation is? Are they?
Yeah. So that the laws of that is pretty well defined. Okay. So and that's why there's this point of no return called the event horizon. So if you're an object in that area, you're going to go into that black hole no matter what. There's no stopping it. But it is kind of cool to think of time it works differently in a black hole. Gravity is, it's understood what's happening there, but it's a wild place to think about. But that idea of you're going to a different universe and stuff, I don't know.
That's wild
I don't get it. That doesn't make sense to me. But